This isn't about where to travel, it's about why certain places work and others stop working. This is Vacation Mode Unlocked. Most people believe they choose cities. In reality, most people inherit them. They choose places because those places are familiar, visible, and easy to justify, not because they've thought through how those cities actually function. Paris, Rome, London, Barcelona. These names come pre-approved by guidebooks, algorithms, cruise routes, and decades of marketing. The problem isn't that these cities are bad. The problem is that the way cities work has changed, and most people are still choosing them as if it hasn't. For a long time, tourism existed as a layer on top of daily life. Cities were built for residents, tourism adapted around them. But over the last few decades, that relationship flipped. Tourism became one of the largest economic pressures cities face, and cities responded the same way they respond to any sustained pressure, by optimizing. Airports expanded, transit systems simplified, cruise terminals reshaped historic ports, central neighborhoods converted from residential to short-term housing. Businesses adjusted to high turnover instead of repeat customers. None of this happened because cities wanted to lose their character. It happened because systems adapt to demand. When millions of people move through the same locations every year, cities don't preserve daily life. They redesign around flow. Flow prioritizes movement over presence, efficiency over depth, consistency over variation. And that redesign fundamentally changes what a visitor experiences. This is why so many trips feel strangely disappointing now, even when everything goes right. People don't come home saying the city was ugly or unsafe. They say it felt rushed, transactional, overpriced, less memorable than expected. That reaction isn't emotional. It's structural. They visited a city that no longer behaves the way they think cities behave. To understand how smart travelers choose cities now, you have to stop thinking in terms of countries and start thinking in terms of city roles. Modern travel has created 3 functional roles that cities fall into, not categories for marketing, roles shaped by pressure. The first role is what I'll call absorber cities. These are cities designed to absorb global demand. They have the largest international airports, the densest concentration of landmarks, the strongest symbolic value, the most visibility. They are built to process people efficiently. Restaurants turn tables quickly. Menus are simplified and predictable. Neighborhoods are optimized for short stays. Housing becomes inventory. Absorber cities are not fake. They're specialized. Their job is to handle volume without breaking. The mistake most travelers make is starting in an absorber city and assuming that what they're experiencing is representative of the country as a whole. The second role is translation cities. These cities share the same language, food culture, and social norms as absorber cities, but without the same global pressure. They aren't built to impress first-time visitors. They're built to function for people who live there. Shops open for locals, not tour schedules. Restaurants expect repeat customers. Pricing reflects local income rather than tourist tolerance. This is where expectations begin to align with reality. People often say, "This feels more like what I imagine." That reaction isn't nostalgia. It's relief. They're finally in a place where daily life still leads and tourism follows. The third role is rhythm cities. These are places where time hasn't been reorganized around constant arrival and departure. Tourism exists, but it adapts to the pace of the city instead of dictating it. Meals take longer. Streets change mood throughout the day. Conversations aren't interrupted by turnover. These cities aren't hidden or obscure. They're simply unoptimized. Smart travelers don't always start here, but experienced travelers often end up here and remember these places long after the landmarks fade. This framework explains why you keep seeing phrases like, "Rome isn't Italy," or "Paris isn't France." Those statements aren't meant to be provocative. They're observations. People visit absorber cities expecting to experience national rhythm, daily culture, and lived-in authenticity. Instead, they encounter systems designed to manage demand. The mismatch creates confusion. Travelers think the country disappointed them. In reality, their entry point distorted the experience. This also explains why coastal cities often feel worse than inland ones. Coastal cities experience multiple layers of pressure at once: tourism, cruise traffic, real estate demand, and seasonal spikes. They're forced to optimize faster and harder. Inland cities, by contrast, often maintain steadier rhythms because they aren't designed to absorb constant inflow. The difference isn't beauty, it's pressure. So how do smart travelers choose cities now? They don't chase famous names. They apply filters. They ask whether a city is designed for living or passing through. They notice whether locals still eat where visitors eat. They pay attention to whether prices reflect value or visibility. They look for places where daily life sets the pace, not tour schedules. They understand that access matters more than landmarks, and that culture reveals itself over time, not highlights. Smart travelers aren't trying to see everything. They're trying to feel aligned with a place. Most people never learn this because they don't travel frequently enough to see patterns. They take a trip every few years. They follow the checklist. They assume mild disappointment is normal. So they conclude that places are overrated, crowded, or no longer special. But countries didn't lose their character. Travel just became more concentrated. And concentration always changes behavior. Once you understand how cities actually function, travel stops being hit or miss. It becomes intentional. You stop blaming destinations for failing to meet expectations and start choosing entry points that allow the country to reveal itself gradually. That's why smart travelers don't start where demand is highest. They start where life still works. Some places rise, others fade. Understanding why is what matters. Vacation mode unlocked.